TX Factor is brought to you in association with Martin Lynch & Sons, the world's favourite ham store, and Yaesu Muse & Co. Japan.
Hello, I'm Bob McCready, G4ROJ, and welcome to TX Factor, the only UK TV show dedicated to amateur radio.
And I'm Mike Marsh, G1IAR, and in just a moment we're going to be catching up with a guy who uses these things as rather impressive skyhooks for low-frequency HF aerials.
And I'm Nick Bennett, 2E0FGQ. I'm at the Military Wireless Museum in Kidderminster, where curator Ben Nock G4BXD has an amazing collection of military wireless sets, and we'll be taking a look at those later on in the programme, including some sets used by spies in World War II.
Also in this episode, I'm going to be finding out why the smaller local radio rallies are still a really important part of the amateur radio landscape, as I visit the Exeter Amateur Radio and Electronics Rally. And as well as that, I'm going to be looking at the very latest quad-band radio to hit the streets and learn how to pronounce its name properly. Right, let's get things off to a flying start, literally, as we catch up with Roger G4ROJ, the man affectionately known as the King of Kites.
We have a lot to thank the Chinese for, including the invention of kites way back in the 5th century. Today, sophisticated kites are used to enhance sporting activities such as surfing, boarding, and even skiing. But how often do you see a kite supporting an end-fed, full-wave vertical aerial? Well, we know a man who's been doing just that for years. And like typical boys, we had to go along and find out more.
Hey Roger, great to meet you.
Morning, Mike.
And nice to be able to come and actually play kites today. Really looking forward to that. How long have you been doing this?
Pretty much since I've been licensed. Started my interest in radio with CB in the 70s. One of the old amateurs, Brian, took me under his wing from a CB start, and he actually took me out onto a common with this very kite, and with the aid of a 120-foot aerial, connected it up to his homemade equipment, and away we went all over the country and half of Europe. And that was the point I thought, wow, I like that. I really like that. And I've been doing it ever since.
So the big question, Roger, is what kind of aerial are we going to be able to fly in the wind conditions we've got?
Well, very dependent upon the wind, which we'll have a look at in a minute. I've got indicators around. I use the trees, I use an anemometer, and about 35 years of experience. And then deciding what sort of aerials we're going to fly will be dependent on the type of kite that we'll choose to go with it. But looking at the wind at the moment, it's going to be light wind kites, probably of a fair size as well.
So the lighter the wind, the bigger the kite, basically?
Basically, the lighter the wind, the bigger the kite, and the bigger the aerial, the bigger the kite.
Ah, but what if there's no wind?
Ah, well, I have a device which you can see parked in the garage behind us called an aerostat, which is a strange little beast, and a helium balloon on top of a kite. Because if you attempt to use just a helium balloon on its own, the wind will just push it down. So you use the kite hoping there's going to be a little bit of wind up there to counteract the pushing down effect. It works very well.
Well, I'm no weather expert, Roger, but looking at the wind speed indicator up there, it's spinning around quite a bit. Do you reckon we've got enough wind to get going today?
Oh yes, I think we have. You've got to remember the anemometer is only 20 feet up. You know, up in the 100 and 150 feet up, there's quite a bit more. It does look a little bit sort of jumpy, and I'm looking at the trees around here. That also gives me an indication of the type of wind that we've got. But I've got a fair idea of the sort of kites that we're going to need.
Now, obviously, the wind conditions change on a daily basis or even during the day. Does that influence what kites you take with you for a day's kiting? Yeah,
it's. I normally start off using a light wind kite because that's what happens during the first part of the day. And as it speeds up, I'll use a stronger kite with more pull on it for later on.
So, Roger, what we're going to need kite-wise for today then, because we've got quite a selection. How many have you got?
Well, I've got about 50 to 60, but they're all in different categories. Now, this is a very light wind kite. If the wind is a bit bumpy, I would use that type of kite, which again is a delta kite and sticked, but it does have a box section in the back of it, which actually stabilises it. Now, this may well be the one that I'm using today because the wind is a bit erratic.
For a beginner like me at kiting, it is amazing that it is so technical, the difference between the kites.
Well, yeah, of course, the first thing to know is that they're all single line kites. The stunt kites that you see flying around at the seaside and so on are just no good for this at all.
So essentially you need something very stable.
Yes, indeed. Like a sky hook, as Mike said. That's exactly what I'm aiming for, is a sky hook.
Well, a box of skyhooks might indeed be a very useful standby, if Mother Nature's unpredictability is anything to go by. So, time to get the car loaded with a range of kites and accessories, and head off to a nearby field to put all that theory into practice. Roger's very fortunate to have a friendly farmer who's happy for kites to be flown when there's no livestock around. So, remembering to follow the country code and shut the gates behind us, we've arrived at our launch site in the beautiful countryside surrounding Kidderminster.
What a beautiful day, Roger, for doing this after the winter we've had. It's nice to see the blue sky. Mind you, I can hear that we're not the only ones that have been brought out by the nice weather.
Yeah, motocross boys, you know, over the back. I'm afraid it's a Sunday morning activity.
Yeah, so, well, they won't disturb us. Sounds like they're having a lot of fun roaring about out there. Now, we've got to do a bit of roaring about in this field here. First thing I was just going to point out, though, is safety is an issue with flying kites, isn't it? And over here, we've got some fairly big power lines.
Yes, very conscious of them, and from the point of view of flying kites, of course, you do not want kites and aerials draping across the power line, so this is where I put a weak link underneath the kite that if it's going to break, it won't even reach those, it'll just flutter down.
So that's where you have your little breaking point,
That's
is
right.
actually right under the kite. Then the line would drop down, the kite flutters down, they don't get anywhere near those power lines.
No.
And we must stress that if anybody's going to emulate any of the things we're doing today, Roger, not near power lines of any kind at all, and remember that weak link under the kite.
That's right.
Very important.
So, and keep away from horses as well, they don't like big flapping kites.
Hey, come on boys, the wind's getting up.
Yes,
what are we going to do?
indeed.
Got
Well,
a plan?
there's several configurations we can try, but let's do a nice, quick, easy one. We will just try a simple end-fed. I've actually got two kites showing there, but one's going to be enough in this wind. Then we'll perhaps move to an inverted V, and I'll get you running up and down the fields, not with a kite, but with bits of
We're going to get
string.
trusted with a job.
Oh,
That's cool. Anything could happen there then.
And then probably a loop, horizontal polarisation, high angle, or vertical polarisation, low angle. So you can sort of choose what you want in respect of what you're trying to do. But for the purposes of today, we'll just be nattering around the UK and Europe, I guess.
So in terms of getting the first antenna up, what's the order of business?
Right, the first thing that must be done, most important, is get a ground spike in, because when you connect up the aerial, which you do as the next step, when you fly it, you get static on the line and you need to bleed it off. So with a big resistor in the back of the matching unit, that will take the static off the line.
So you've got to have that earth line, otherwise you get some big sparks.
No, not big sparks, you get some big leaps in the air as you grab a hold of it. Yes, it's the friction static that you get on the polypropylene rope, not on the wire, on the polypropylene rope with the wind blowing over it. It creates friction static. One earth stake, matching unit, homemade, and there in the back of it is a high value resistor, 100k, 2 watt, something like that. And this matching unit is a differential capacitor and a roller coaster in a T formation, as you can see. Right, I've connected the aerial to the matching unit with this feed wire. It's attached to the door, as you see. And I now will just lay out this aerial primarily to see how big the thing's going to be, and more to the point that should the kite come down, where the devil it's going to come down. I'm now going to put a leader on the end of the aerial so as I can attach the kite. and just attaching the carabiner to the end of the area. All very simple stuff, simple knots and so on. Now we're ready to put the kite on.
I'm not going to get in your way because I'll hinder the exercise of getting this up. So this is going to be one of the smaller aerials we put up today. How long does it usually take you? There goes your hat. How windy is it? How long does it usually take you to get one of these up?
Oh, 5 or 10 minutes, that's all.
Okay, that's all. And it's really breezy now.
Yeah, very good.
A lot better than when we were back at base doing our pre-flight checks.
Yep.
So these conditions are ideal, right?
Yes,
now?
they
Perfect
are, yeah.
for this. Great. We've waited about 3 months for this. So this is a long wait worth waiting for.
Here is the weak link just here. So if anything's going to break, it will break there and the kite will come down and the aerial will just fall on the floor.
Thanks, Roger. Well, with us acting as launch assistants, anything's probably going to happen. But before we do battle with the wind and the kites, let's catch up with Nick Bennett, who's been to see a guy with probably the biggest collection of battle-ready radios anywhere in the UK. He's been to see Ben Nock, owner of the Military Wireless Museum, and that's coming up next.
When you want to be able to tune all kinds of antennas from Yargis to wires, you need LDG. With brand-specific tuners like the amazing Z817H, the perfect partner for your FT817. LDG also have tuners designed to give other Icom, Yaesu or Kenwood transceivers the ability to use a much wider range of antennas, like the Icom-friendly IT100 with 2000 memories and the ability to match up to 10:1 SWR. The new LDG RT100 is the ideal solution for your remote tuner needs. Put it as close to the antenna feed point as possible and power it over the coax. Plus, LDG have a range of generic tuners to cover every power level from the 125 watt Z11 Pro 2 to the 2000 memory 1 kilowatt AT1000 Pro. The entire range of LDG automatic antenna tuners is available from Martin Lynch & Sons, the world's favourite ham store, and any authorised international dealer. And remember, if you order online from ML&S during May and June 2014, shipping is free within the EU if you add TXF003 in the discounts code during checkout.
I've come to meet a man whose obsession with military radios has led him to collecting so many, he's opened a museum. Most of us struggle to find space for our modest ham stations in our homes, so how did Ben start out on his amazing 700-piece collection?
Basically, money, I suppose. As a youngster, not having very much money, one tended to buy the second-hand stuff that was available at the time. I used to buy a radio, play with it, sell it, buy a radio, play with it, sell it. And one time I bought a radio and it was very nice. I thought, oh, I'll keep that one. So I put it on the shelf and went to another rally and picked up another one. I thought, that one's quite nice. I'll just keep that one. And I had a large shed at the time with a bench on, and there was a radio on the bench. And then there were 2 radios, and then 3 and 4. And after a little while, I couldn't get into the shed. And I'm thinking, now is probably the time to sort of look for alternative premises. As I acquired more and more to the collection, basically it just piled up and piled up. And it got to the point where you couldn't actually see anything. And people were still saying, oh, can I come and look at your collection? I said, no. And so they say, well, yes, you're more than welcome to come and look at it. But unfortunately, you're not going to be able to see much. So the only option was to try and find somewhere where I could have a little bit more space, lay out a few of the items, and then people could come along at their leisure and have a little browse and ask questions and experience what I'd been playing with all those years.
So where do your radios come from these days?
I have my secret agents in America, in Japan, in Australia, several in Europe. I have my own little departments. I have F Division in France, and of course, the more people know that I collect, it also works to my advantage because they then go away to foreign climes and give me an email or something. Oh, I've just seen a radio that this chap wants to sell. Are you interested? I've probably spent a small fortune on shipping and postage over the years, but there we go. It's the hobby. That's what I do.
And do they all work?
Whenever we get a new radio, we try it out. If it works, fine. If it doesn't work, we certainly try and get it working. But certainly at one point in their life, whilst they've been with me, they have worked. Unfortunately, they have the habit of, you get the thing working, fine. You put it on the shelf, 6 months later you take it off and turn it on, it doesn't work. So you then have to repair it or restore it, get it working, put it back on the shelf, and the cycle is never ending.
And I guess you must have some favourites in this huge collection, Ben.
The ones I really like the most are the wartime sets, the Second World War sets, and predominantly the British ones, obviously, because they did so much for us. Without the radios during the Second World War, you would have had the sort of World War I trench warfare. The radios made warfare a little bit more mobile and enabled our troops to succeed. Many radio amateurs in the 50s and 60s experienced British ex-military wartime sets because they were so cheap, and we all had them. But to see something like Japanese wartime sets, German wartime sets, Japanese wartime sets, and how they attacked the problem of communication, those are nice. And to get those working now is really a challenge. One of the mainstays of the amateur market in the 50s and 60s was the wireless set number 19. They came onto the market obviously after the war. A mainstay of the British Army, used in tanks, armoured cars, and that sort of usage. The nice thing was it was self-contained, little battery, ran off 12 volts. You needed a very large 12-volt battery, but it did run off 12 volts, and it really did work very well. I mean, even today, I mean, 70 years later, they're used widely on the AM nets on 80 metres, and they can give some surprisingly good signal quality, considering what they are. So another set of World War II which was quite popular was the wireless set 62. That was a lighter set, so it was used in things like Jeeps, and it was even carried by a three-man team, amazingly. One person carried the set, one person the batteries, one person the aerials. Below that is a Pi C12, which followed on in the 50s and was the replacement for the 19 set, made by Pi, obviously. Again, AM or CW though, so we haven't got onto the sideband side of military usage yet. In fact, this one actually was still in use by 67. There's a mark on the case when it was refurbished by Remy in 1967. The reason for the little bottle of wine, the French bottle of wine, of course, is that this shelf is occupied by World War II French sets and various sets, Army, Air Force. But the interesting thing is, once the Germans rolled into France, of course, they didn't simply destroy everything. They actually took the French set, they took the plates off, turned the plates over, restamped them in German, and used them themselves. So these are a few examples of what was to be found in the French military during the Second World War.
So do you keep a record of where each set was deployed?
You can't know the exact history of the actual set, but you can learn the history of that particular type of set, whether it was used in the tanks or whether it was used by the soldier sort of on foot, on his back, on his side, or in aircraft or in ships or something like that. You can follow the history trail of where that radio was used, and that's always nice.
And what are the other attractions here, Ben?
So a few of the Eddystone range of receivers, made locally, of course, in Birmingham, and although not strictly military, the one or two were used in military roles. But it was just something special about the Eddystones, the way they worked, the styling, which made me sort of think about collecting them. I do often get asked if we have them all, and the answer is no. There are many more yet to acquire, but it's just getting a little bit harder to find the ones I don't have. One area of interest is the Japanese wartime radios, of which these are my collection. A little bit difficult to find because obviously the Pacific theatre wasn't really much of the British sort of interest in many of the Americans, and most of these Japanese wartime sets have come from America because the soldiers took them home as souvenirs after the war, and they ended up back in various American towns and cities. So in the main, most of these came from America, with the exception of the middle one, which came from about 3 miles away. Talked to a gentleman on the radio the one day. Oh yes, I've got something in my shed you might be interested in. Went up there, looked in the shed, and it was a Japanese wartime transceiver. And of course, anybody coming to the museum who has a license can operate the special call sign GB0MWM for Military Wireless Museum. We'll just try using this German transceiver, 1980s vintage, but it does have sidebands, so it's quite usable on the amateur bands. And we'll see if we can make a contact with one of the TX Factor groups. G1IAR, G1IAR. This is GB0 Mike Whiskey Mike. How to copy, over?
G0 Mike Whiskey Mike. This is G1IAR. Yeah, hi Ben, you're a good signal to me. 5 and 9 plus, how you doing?
Yes, G1 IAR, GB0 Mike Whiskey Mike. Roger that, you're a lovely signal with us. I understand you're with Roger G4ROJ with a kite demonstration, is that correct, over?
Yeah, thanks for the call in, Ben. We've actually got the kites up in the air now. We've done our pre-flight checks and we're just about to test it and put out a signal, so we'll give you a call back.
Roger that, Mike. G1 IAR, GB0 Mike Whiskey Mike. Good luck, and we'll listen out for you shortly. Cheers for now. Golf Bravo 0 Mike Whiskey Mike. One area of particular interest in the collection is the spy sets, which we have 4 examples here at the moment. We have a German set, which arrived from a house clearance in North Wales, oddly. We have an Italian-made set, which did arrive from Italy. I bought it from a gentleman in Italy. And we have the archetypal B2 set, which was used by the SOE and the like in Europe and Norway and Yugoslavia. And in the centre we have a couple of little black boxes made by the CIA in the 1950s. And perfectly workable, and CW, transmit 10, 15 watts on the transmitter, receiver covers 80, 40 and 20 metres, and perfectly usable even today. You can actually build good working replicas, just like I built this replica, which is a Paraset, a World War II SOE, as used by spies throughout Europe. 3 valve, 2 valve receiver, 1 valve transmitter, 5 watts, 80 metres, 40 metres, good conditions, you can work the world, and this took me perhaps 1 week, 10 days to build, as simple as that.
Well, it's been great spending a day here at the Military Wireless Museum with Ben, and Ben's going to try and contact Bob and Mike to see how they're getting on. Well, it must have been a scary business operating radios like these in the field, and I just wonder what those wartime spies would have thought of the radio that Mike is going to look at for us, and that's coming up next on TX Factor.
It's rig review time. I'm in the Martin Lynch & Sons flagship store in Chertsey, where I'm going to get my hands on a brand new quad band rig. Now, I'm not quite sure what it's called. Wouxun, is that the right thing to say, Sandale?
The Wouxun quad band radio.
All right, so now I know it's called the Wouxun. Can you talk me through some of the features of the radio?
Sure. It's a quad band radio with dual VFO, speaker mic, actually speaker in the back, and dual speakers on the top. So you actually don't need to buy an external speaker to use with the radio. Everything you can do through the keypad, and some people think that's hard to use, but once you understand how and what the buttons does, you'll be really
it's easy like any radio.
Especially when you set up memories. Easy to, if you do set up a memory for a repeater, for example, you make sure the repeater is working with the repeater settings, CTCSS, subtones, and just save to your memory.
Right.
That's it. You can set up the radio, use the menu button on the control panel or on the speaker mic.
Function select.
And up and down buttons to easily navigate to the menu system. On the, you have 2 VFOs. VFO A, you just select here. You change between all the 4 bands.
And this is all done from the front of the radio now?
Yeah.
Not within a menu?
Yeah, not with the menu. Or you can do the same over here. The same buttons you have on the front panel, you have on the keypad. You can change for VFO B, just press band, and also again switch between 2 bands. The VFO B just do VHF and UHF. And
you can listen to 2 VFOs at the same time, so it's
that's
dual.
Right. You can do a single mode pressing TDR. So now I disable the VFO A, I'm only listening VFO B, or enable again and change band, or listen to the VFO A.
Now, with the VFOs on the radio, what can you listen to on either side? Can you, first of all, can you listen to both VFOs at once?
Yes, you
Dual
can.
listen? Okay. And are both VFOs quad band VFOs?
On the VFO A, it's quad band, so you can change between all the bands. The VFO B is limited to VHF and UHF only.
Okay, so we've got quad band VFO, dual band VFO, and listen to both at the same time as well.
That's right.
And what kind of power levels are you getting with the basic radio?
You have 3 power levels over here. Button number 5 you change. High, medium, and low level power.
And those voice announcements work through all the stages of the menu and every button push you do, right?
Most of this stage, if you press, you can use the speaker mic as well. Type the frequencies. 14400. You can go up and down the frequency. Change your bands. And change between all the 4 bands in this radio. Go to the menu. So everything goes to the menu.
You can take the face off the front, like you said, so for mobile mounting as well. That allows you to detach it. Can I have a little look at the back and see what connections we've got on the back? Okay, so we've got 2 external speaker slots at the back there.
The power cable and your antenna input.
So with the 2 speaker outputs, you can actually listen to both VFOs separately.
Yes.
Quad band input, so all the duplexing is being done from one input, so that's good. And a nice chunky cooling fan on the back.
That's right.
Which probably is obviously not running all the time, but probably only works like the other quad banders when you key up and okay.
And the rubber feet, which make it easy to use in a desktop.
Yeah, the rubber feet's a good thing to stop it sliding around.
That's
How many radios that I've got that I've stuck rubber feet to get them to stop sliding around. Okay, that comes part of the package. So it looks like a really good feature-packed little radio, doing all the things I would expect of a quad bander. Big question though, what's the price?
$229.95.
That is a lot of bang for your bucks. That's good value. All right, brilliant. Great to look at the Wouxun quad bander. Thanks for telling us all about the features and all the things you can do with the radio.
You're welcome. Thanks very much.
Thank you both. Wouxun, however you say it, looks like a versatile rig. Now on TX Factor, let's rejoin Mike, who's in the county of Devon, discovering just how important the social side of amateur radio is as he visits a building with an interesting claim to fame.
It's a little bit cold and damp this morning, but at least it's not raining. I'm in Exeter city centre, and if you look over my shoulder, you'll see America Hall. Now, I checked my rock and roll diaries, and it turns out this place once played host to Motorhead in one of their early rock and roll gigs. But it's a very different rock and roll event that's happening here this morning. It's the Exeter Amateur Radio Rally.
Ah, that's better. Well, the chords of Motorhead have long since faded into the brickwork at America Hall, but on this lazy Sunday morning, traders are well underway unpacking and dusting off their stock and looking forward to a good old turnout from the local amateur community. So in this modern age of online consumerism and shiny new transceivers available for next day delivery, what's the lasting appeal of an amateur radio rally like this one in the heart of Exeter?
It's an interesting rally, meet a lot of interesting people, plenty of bargains, plenty of bits and pieces which which we need, PL259s and a bit of aerial wire. Actually, I need some more radials because I've just been renovating my HF6.
Coming to an amateur radio rally like this, you can see so many people, you can talk to so many people who have the same common interest and personal history. Not only that, you can see a lot of the things that, if you're away from the big shops, it's all here in one place.
Exeter Rally has been quite exciting because the huge number of people we haven't seen for so long, and everyone's suddenly rediscovering an interest in real electronics again. I think ham radio has become commoditized to become little black boxes from the Far East. But when they see a handful of components, everyone suddenly realizes they really would like to construct. And you find them spending hours going through grab bags of things, thinking of all the projects they could do, and reawakening a somewhat latent desire to create and to build.
I think coming to a rally like this, it's a chance to catch up with people you've not seen before, perhaps a chance to put something back into the hobby a little bit with helping out. There's obviously the bargains to be had, just talking to other people as well, getting a For example, I'm now going to get onto 4 metres, which I hadn't thought about had I not come today and seen a little bargain. So yeah, a nice little social event as well.
So it's all very well coming down to a rally, but somebody's actually got to organise one. I'm here right now with G3ZVI, Peter, the rally organiser. You've been going to a rally as a punter and a trader for a long, long time. What's it actually like organising a rally?
Well, like most operations, it's all about teamwork. Now, we start with just a couple of us to arrange the venue, publicity, round up the traders.
And do you see a good future for the radio rally as we know it at the moment?
I think it will continue. It's no longer profitable for traders or economic for organisers to run the mega events of yesteryear. But let's hope it stays like this, because let's face it, traders come to a rally, they don't want to take stuff home. There are some good bargains to be had. If you really fancy a bargain, the thing to do is to go round and spot when a trader is just about to pack up and make him an offer.
By the look of things, there's still plenty of spending going on here at the Exeter Rally. But all this browsing for that elusive bargain, it's hungry work. And we all know what every visitor to a rally expects at around 11:30 in the morning. Well, I'm in the most important room in the house now. It's the galley, and the smell of bacon sandwiches in here is fantastic. In charge of proceedings, it's Loretta. How do you feed 200 hungry amateurs on a Sunday morning?
With great difficulty. No, they love it. They like their bacon sarnies and teas and coffees, and we enjoy doing it too. It's a pleasure to do it for them. And you see a lot of faces you see every year, which is very nice.
Have you managed to put a bacon sandwich aside for me?
I don't know. I will have to see whether I have one available. I think we might have, don't you?
Genius. Well, that's about it from the Exeter Rally for another year. Don't forget, if you can make it along to one of your local rallies, they could really do with your support. We're going to try and get to as many rallies as we can up and down the country on TX Factor, and we're trying to get to the National Hamfest at the end of September. Well, the rally's kind of quietening down a little bit now. Ideal time for me to go and bag myself some bargains, and on top of that, a rally special bacon sandwich.
Typical Mike, always trying to catch a free lunch and a bargain. Now, you remember when we left him, he was with Roger G4ROJ, and Mike was hanging on for dear life to a kite that had an end-fed vertical on it. So we'll find out how he's getting on in a moment.
There's a Yaesu radio to suit the interests of every kind of amateur, and you can see the whole range at Martin Lynch & Sons. Our expert staff can help you choose the Yaesu that's right for you. Whether your passion is portable operating, mobile or DXing, Yaesu has a radio to suit your interests and your budget. Whatever kind of amateur you are, Yaesu has the radio for you. You'll find them all at the best prices, backed by our legendary customer service at Martin Lynch & Sons, the world's favourite ham store.
All right, well, conditions are probably perfect for our first launch. Shall we give it a go, Roger? Okay. Roger's doing some feeding as well. Don't forget, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing.
Okay, right, you can let go. It's steadying down a lot now, you see the wind is...
Yeah, it's funny actually, once it's up off the ground, it looks quite calm now. At ground level, it was a lot more...
Gusty.
A lot more gusty. Wow, I think we're actually... Are we out to full stretch now, Roger?
Yeah.
Okay, so the antenna's not perfectly vertical.
Indeed, it's not vertical. The wind is pretty bumpy up there, as you see, which is why I was using that box kite to try and steady it a bit. But anything over about 50 to 70 degrees, you can classify it as a vertical.
Okay.
The aerial, which is a full wave on 40 metres, will behave as a vertical. I don't need radials. It will run against the earth quite easily.
So we've had a bit of a breakage on our initial launch, so we've actually swapped kites now. What have we got on this one, Roger?
This is a sled kite. It's a soft kite, doesn't have any spars in it, just a couple of spines, and it's the wind which is shaping the kite. You can see the tubes on either side, narrow at the back, wide at the front, slightly angled in, and it produces like a jet stream at the back to keep the thing steady. I need 2 assistants. On the end of this big inverted V, you'll have a screwdriver, ball of string.
Thank you.
And you'll see what I'm going to do. I'm going to
You're going to tell us what to do with this?
Yes.
In a minute. Well,
I'm going to launch the middle on a big kite, and you can take each side out, and when you think you've got it at the right angle, just just hook the string on the screwdriver and jag it in the ground.
What could possibly go
that all
wrong?
completely
What can possibly go wrong?
What can go wrong?
Right, this way.
So who wants to pull the kite down?
I'll do that. As you nearly went flying on it, you can pull it.
come and grab it.
Sorry, there is a knack to doing this to save you hurting your fingers.
Well, this is proper learning as I go. The last time I remember flying a kite was probably a stunt kite as a little boy. And yeah, that worked, but I've never had a massive antenna dangling off the bottom of one. So what I'm trying to do now is just bring this vertical down to the ground, because we're going to move on to a much bigger and a much more exciting antenna, just as I get this one in a safe position. Whoops, there we go. Yep, tension's coming off the kite now, and we'll be down on the ground in a sec. Look at that, touchdown!
Right, okay, Bob, you've got one side of the V, so when I launch the kite up with the middle, you take it out until we get a sextant and get an exactly 120 degree angle on the...
Or until Roger shouts now.
Yeah, until about, thumbs up, until it's about right. So
okay, that's great.
That's the
then
plan.
we whack that in the ground.
Yeah, just to hold it for the purposes of
and tie it off on the...
Yeah, just tie it round.
Okay, this is a big responsibility, this. I tell you what, I haven't had so much fun in amateur radio for years. This is fantastic. It's great to be outside in the fresh air in this beautiful weather. But what I'm also really looking forward to is getting these antennas up. We've seen the end-fed vertical, and who can put an end-fed full-wave vertical for 40 metres up in their garden? You just can't. But doing this out here in the field, it's incredible fun. And with Roger's expertise, I think we're going to be putting out some massive signals later. From the what could possibly go wrong department now, there's me at one end of this inverted V, Mike is at the other end.
You were right about this being a big antenna, Bob. Crikey, you're miles away. This is huge.
And Roger's hanging on to the kite. And this is going to be a full wave dipole effectively on 40 metres once we've got it up. So it's going to be a fantastic antenna.
Come on, come on.
No, I've lost it. Right.
Oh well, what do the British usually do when the wind's blown out of their sails? Make a cup of tea, of course, and when conditions improve, try a relaunch. Oh, and above all, keep the flag flying.
I'm just waiting for the word from Roger as to when he wants me. I'm going to be stringing a twist here to tie off our end of the dipole. The amazing thing is, now it's right up there, that dipole, which would be so huge if you tried to put it up in your garden, looks really small.
All right, we're inside Roger's car now. The antenna's up in the air, and we're going to try and put out a call for our first QSO. There's a lot of people on the band this morning, and the signals are massive. 40/9 average signal.
CQ 40 metres, CQ on 40, CQ 40 metres. George 4, Romeo Oscar Juliet, portable station, flying a kite aerial, calling 40, listening. G6YEK, good afternoon to you. Name is Roger, location is the West Midlands, and flying a kite aerial with the TX Factor people filming it. So can you give me a report, please? Name's Roger, G4ROJ, portable, over.
Yeah, G4ROJ, portable, Golf 6 Yankee Echo Kilo. Yeah, very good afternoon to Roger. 5 and 9 with me, no problems at all. Name is Dave, Delta Echo Sierra, to the beautiful sunny western Supermare on the North Somerset coast. Beautiful sunny day, probably about 12 or 13 degrees, a little bit breezy, but very pleasant, Roger. No problems at all copying you. G4ROJ TXF003.
Yeah, okay, Des. Nice one, 5.9 plus from you, from Western Supermare. A place I do like to operate. I love to operate on the sands down there. With the salt water, it really bangs a signal out. Anyway, nice signal from you. Running a big inverted V on 40 metres, which is sinking slowly into the sunset at the moment. Des. G6YK, G4ROJ portable.
That's it for another episode of TX Factor, and don't forget, if there's anything you'd like to find out more about that's been in this episode, check the show notes for episode 3 at txfactor.co.uk. And we love to get your feedback wherever you are in the world. If you've got an idea for a future show, or if you've been doing something interesting in amateur radio, get in touch. Right, I think I'm going to go and give these guys a bit of a hand to get this one back in the air.
TX Factor is brought to you in association with Martin Lynch & Sons, the world's favourite ham store, and Yaesu Muse & Co. Japan.